Welcome back to the Kelly Roach Show. And today I'm going to break down kind of a interesting and very convoluted story about how and why I launched my sixth business at the absolute worst time when I was totally not ready, and the stories and lessons that I lived to tell about it. Now, all of this said, people always ask me, what is my philosophy on the whole idea of 7 streams of income? And what do I think about when entrepreneurs should consider opening a new business or splitting out a new division? And this is what I always tell people. You have to remember that I had one core product with one core launch and really focused on the most simple strategy possible to take my business from 0 to 7 to 8 figures. I was not focused on launching new products, launching new divisions, starting new companies. I started Give Her Courage many years ago. I think it's on year 7 now. And I actually said no to Amy multiple times because I did not want to have my energy diluted. I didn't want to, stretch my focus. And she was relentless. And I finally said yes, but I said, I want you to understand that I'm already building a massive organization and I need you to be the day-to-day operating partner in order for this to work. She agreed to that. And so we already had that dynamic going into that business. But for many years after that, I was completely focused on really driving the simplest business model possible. And it wasn't until we really were either at or very close to 8 figures, I can't remember the exact timeline, that I had leadership in place. We had a very comfortable and, very nice profit margin in the business, a very established team, that I started building out all these other businesses. And so I always tell people, if you are thinking about splitting out another business or you're thinking about starting a new company, make sure you have great leadership in place, make sure that you have a great cash position, you're cash comfortable, and that the business can survive and thrive losing a lot of your attention and focus. And I just want to remind everyone that, you have to be really long-term in the vision of what you're doing, because it sounds exciting and fun on the front end. And then when you get into it, you remember that it doesn't matter what kind of business you're running or starting, you trade one set of problems for another. Now, for me, with all the companies that I have, there are things that I want to do long-term, right? So I'm on, a 10-year plan from 2024 to 2034. My vision and my goal is to bring the portfolio to 9 figures. And I decided that I did not want to scale the coaching company too much further beyond where I had already brought it to, for purposes of not diluting the brand, not taking away the high touch, really hands-on approach that's what makes us unique, and not diluting the customer results that we're getting. And so we'll still grow incrementally and we'll continue to grow the business advisory, but I wanted to be very careful and cognizant of not pushing the business beyond the limits of what that business model can do and do well to help people to get results, which is why for me, I decided to slow down to speed up. And, for most people, I absolutely do not recommend having all these different businesses and all these different things. I did come from a background where I was managing 17 different locations, and I was very accustomed to each of those businesses being run completely independently as their own business. And so this is not new for me. This is something I've done before. So it's just a little bit of a different thing. But anyway, I'm going to continue the conversation today about how you can thrive in this next season of business. And I want to remind you that Virtual Business School, the monthly membership for Virtual Business School, is now open. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that as we progress through today's episode. So we were a bit of a larger company already in 2022. And this is my original company, my first company, which is called the Business Advisory. And we were not called the Business Advisory then. We were called Kelly Roach Coaching, and then the Unstoppable Entrepreneur, and now we're the Business Advisory. And because we were already larger at that time, I think we felt a lot of the shifts that were happening in the market long before many of the rest of the businesses in the online space did. And up until that point, as I mentioned already, we had really been focused on one core product with one primary launch. We had a few other programs, but we didn't launch any of them publicly, and they were just kind of back-end ascension for us. And, somewhere in 2022, we realized that we needed to slow down. We needed to put operational efficiencies in the business. And we also simultaneously realized that the market was shifting dramatically and that we were not going to be able to continue to scale relying solely on selling high-ticket services directly to the market. And we were seeing that we needed to actually change our strategy. And for those of you that are avid listeners, you probably remember the show that I came on and did where I talked about the internal buyers list. So when I realized that in order to keep growing, we were not going to be able to just sell $25,000, $30,000 product direct to market as our only means of growth, we began really digging into this idea of what would it look like to build an internal buyers list. And, what that looked like was being able to meet people where they were and offer them different products at different price points as an entry to our ecosystem to validate our relationship and to validate how they would be able to generate results with us and then upselling them into the higher tier products. I started sharing about this. We started testing a lot of different things. The two core things that we were seeing that led to this were that buyers were slowing down the process. They were wanting to sit in the ecosystem longer, and they were wanting more validation before they went all in on a high ticket product, mostly because we have population that's getting more sophisticated, that has experienced more. They've been burnt. They've been through a lot more things. So now they're a lot more clear on what they do and don't want buying from someone. So, I saw this happening in 2022. I started teaching internal buyers list in my programs. We started building an entire internal buyers list. We started testing a lot of a la carte products and CEO coaching and, all of these different things. And that really helped us. That really bolstered us and kind of kept us able to, keep the business moving during that time. And it became very, very clear to me at this time that in order to thrive in the markets of 2023 and 2024, that businesses were going to need to be far more pliable, far more patient. You were going to be able to, need to be able to meet people where they were and sell them into the ecosystem, starting with a lower ticket product sometimes because of all the reasons that I already stated. So at this point, I had launched the Inevitable Millionaire. That was booming. That's now Kairos, for those of you that have been following along. And that's under my personal brand. At the same time, the Advanced, which I previously was a 50-50 silent partner, and I was basically an investor in, my partner stepped down and wanted to either have me acquire the business or sell it or shut it down. And so I decided to acquire it. So that happened simultaneously at the same time that we had been testing agency services, and we really saw that was beginning to boom. And we were like, wow, we had tested it for long enough that it made sense to split it out. All of this craziness is happening where I end up, breaking out my personal brand, and the agency is now ready to step on its own. And the Advance, which I never planned on being involved in the day-to-day, and now I'm taking that over completely. And for us, we realized in the coaching company that staying true to our North Star was so, so important. We had kind of started building products and services to create that diversity in income and those diversity of price points, but we had gotten a little bit away from live launch. We decided to really recenter on live launch as our core IP and our core focal point as far as the type of customer that we wanted to attract. And we began to see that a lot of our sales were actually coming from people that were either coming into Kairos or coming into the Advance or coming into, one of the other products or services, and then discovering our high ticket coaching and upselling. So all of this to say, this has been evolving over the course of 2022, then all throughout 2023. And now we're seeing it big time in 2024, which is that the internal buyers list is absolutely make or break in 2024. And it will be essential in 2025 and beyond. I know it. And it's because the market is maturing. It's because people have had far more experiences in the space. It's because they're not new entries to the market. They're people that are moving from service provider to service provider. So all of this said, we were like, okay, we need to recenter the business advisory on their one thing, the live launch. We need to allow them to have their back-end ascension of products. We need to allow these other companies to do their best at their one thing, which, for the Conviction Marketing Agency, it's personal branding. And for, Kairos, it's the mental game of entrepreneurship, right? And for the Advance, it's building a strategic referral network, right? Like each of these needed to have their one thing. So all of this is going great and it's insane. It's very difficult, definitely slowed me down, slowed the businesses down, but was absolutely necessary because I had to make a decision going through this entire process of, was I going to burn the pedal through the floor with the business advisory and try to keep scaling it at breakneck speed and compromise on the quality of the product, the delivery, and the people? Or was I going to diversify and essentially dilute my efforts by focusing on multiple product lines and multiple different businesses? Now, obviously, there's a third alternative, which is just grow slow and don't diversify and don't dilute. But I wanted to do a lot of these things long term, and I knew I wanted to do them long term. They weren't like a whim. They weren't a quick win that I was looking for. They were things that I was committed to long term. And so I said, you know what? It's going to slow me down in the short term, but it's going to propel us to where I ultimately want to be in the long term, which is building this $100 million portfolio without compromise, success without compromise. And so I was able to promote several of my, really strong team members. I promoted Nicole under my personal brand. I promoted Danielle out of the business advisory and to the president. And obviously she runs the day-to-day of the Conviction Marketing Agency. We promoted Ty out of the business advisory to run the day-to-day of the Advance, right? So we have these great people that are now running these other companies, right? All of this said, I truly believe that the simplest path is always the best and easiest one. But in this market, there's a lot of nuance. And I don't think that you need to start a new business line. I don't think that you need to launch a whole bunch of different products or programs. But I do think you have to be really highly aware of meeting your buyer where they are and selling them what they need in that moment. And I think that you need to know what the standards are that you are and are not willing to compromise on. And this was really big for me. So I was very clear. I was not willing to compromise on the quality of the delivery in the business advisory, the client results that people were getting in the business advisory, and the impact of the programming that we're doing. You cannot scale something that is that high touch to the level that I wanted to scale to without it diluting the people, the process, and ultimately the client experience and results. And I wasn't willing to compromise on that. And so what I was willing to compromise on and what I did have to compromise on in order to pull this off is, number one, speed of growth. So you better believe getting all these new companies off the ground, promoting people out of the business advisory, getting new marketing, new branding, new email lists, new social profiles, new entities, new legal organization, new accounting. You better believe that slowed us down big time. Number two, it diluted my effort. It diluted Danielle's effort because Danielle has 3 different entities under her. It diluted both of our energy and effort. And number 3, it was a major short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. Now, I'm super happy that I did it. I feel like it's one of the best decisions in business that I've ever made because it allowed us to really get clear on the North Star for each of these businesses, knowing the one word that we want to own in each of these companies and the one service that we want to deliver. It created incredible opportunities for growth for Danielle and for Ty and for Nicole, and I'm sure others that will grow into roles. Actually, we're just promoting, I can't announce it yet, actually. We have 2 more internal promotions that we're making that are actually crossing companies coming up here very shortly. So I'll share about that soon, but I can't share that yet. But the bottom line is it's created great career opportunities, great growth opportunities, and most importantly, amazing go-to-market solutions that are making a difference for entrepreneurs every day. And we want to own that word of growth in people's minds. And our job is to serve you. And our job is to figure out what solutions you need. Now, fast forward to today, the virtual business school is, I want to say, I'm really bad with timing, but I think it's about a year and a couple months old now. And the virtual business school is the last business that I started. It's my 6th business. And it was something that I had as a dream for many years. And it was a dream that I had no intention of taking any action on for a very long time. And when I say a very long time, I actually was chatting with a mentor of mine and I was telling them about this dream of mine. And I was saying, well, when I'm 70 and I've built all these other things and I have a household name and I've accomplished this, this, and this, then I'm going to launch the business school. And she turned to me and she said, I think that's bullshit. And I think you should do it now. You're crystal clear on what you want to do and why you want to do it. And if you've had the dream for this long, like, you should just get started. And I was super hesitant about doing it because I knew that it was going to get almost no attention for the first couple years. I knew where we were with all of the other businesses. I knew where we were with the other teams. I was like, this poor business is just not going to get what it needs to grow substantially. But I knew she was right. And so I asked myself the question, if this is something that I know I 100% intend to do and I'm going to do, wouldn't it be better to get started and to go slow and allow the compounding effect over time versus just not getting started at all and then one day trying to like flip a switch and like make this lifetime dream happen overnight? And I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. So, this whole progression of all of these companies kind of like happen in a whirlwind, not at the same time, but like in conjunction. And I definitely was not ready to start this business. But here's the deal. This is what happened. And there is a moral of this story. Okay. Being in the business education and business strategy space for 10 years, I saw every day that the vast majority of leads that we're getting are completely unqualified for what we do. And the vast majority of people that come into our world, they want to work with us because they study the brand, they listen to the podcast, they watch us on social, they read our newsletters, they know that we have the right strategy. But for the vast majority of businesses, it just does not make sense to start investing $30,000 a year in super high-end, intense, hands-on business coaching when what you really need is simple, fast foundations to get your recurring revenue growing. And I've known this for forever, and my expertise is obviously, I like to help companies grow fast and grow big, and I like to teach about launching and sales systems. My expertise is in team. So it makes sense as a strategist that my energy and effort has been in the business advisory for so many years because it really is the epitome of what I spent my over a decade doing in corporate that led me to all of the success that I had there, which is why I even started this business to begin with. Okay, so I'm looking at the landscape and I'm saying all the companies that I've started, I think why they've done well is that we've just answered a need. Like, we weren't trying to fabricate a solution. We were just listening and paying attention to what the market needed and what the market wanted, and then providing solutions to it. So here I am. It's been 10 years and I'm like, okay, we're still the vast majority of people that we're getting that are coming to us for coaching, we cannot accept into our coaching programs. And we do a screening process and all of that. And I'm like, we just cannot bring these people into high ticket coaching because they're not in a state of readiness, and it's not fair to them and it's not fair to us. But I also didn't have anywhere to refer people to where I felt that they could get the true business foundations of success that aligned with our philosophy, that truly set people up for what we wanted them to have in place so that we didn't have to break it all down and start over when they came to us for coaching. I didn't have anywhere to send them. And so I said to myself, this is the purpose of the school, right? It's to create accessible real world business education that is going to allow people around the world to access what they need to put the right foundations in place from day one to build a sustainable, profitable business from the ground up. And I decided we're just going to go for it. We started off doing courses and bundles, and then coming into this year, we moved into a membership model. And the membership is $59 a month. Right now, for the next 2 weeks, it's going to be $49 a month. Here's how it works, basically, and this is what my vision is long-term. My vision long-term is that we get the business up and running. We currently have just under about 200 members. We probably need to get to like 100,000 members. But our goal is to make the business profitable and whole, and then basically to be able to bring business education to countries around the world where people would not have access to business education and do not have the financial resources to spend tens of thousands of dollars on a business degree or coaching programs or whatever the case, so that people globally can learn how to start, run, and grow their own businesses for free. So I'm going to start off, my first few years are going to be really, really focused on getting the foundation of the business right, getting it profitable, getting results, helping make sure that the systems are dialed in and that the process is right and the content structure is right. And then hopefully a couple years from now, we'll be in a position to start bringing it to the world globally and be able to deliver it to developing areas of the world where they wouldn't have access otherwise. So that said, that's the vision. Now, what is the virtual business school membership? First of all, no contract. You can quit anytime with 30 days notice. That was important to me. I wanted to make it accessible, so it's $59 a month. Right now, we're discounting it to $49 a month for about 2 weeks. And the goal is fast foundations for profitable success. The goal is helping people build a recurring revenue machine. The goal is helping people build a business the right way from the beginning, from day one, and just to make sure that by the time they do get out in the world and start working with a coach or a mentor, doing courses or programs or whatever the case, that they have the right foundations in place. Sales, marketing, operations, service delivery, finance. We're covering all 5 of those elements. And it's about building a business that's going to stand the test of time, creating a foundation for success that is going to yield the ability to build, not on a house of cards, but on a foundation of success. So what's included in the Virtual Business School monthly membership is a live masterclass every single month. That's with Danielle Cevallos. And we're going to bring to you the just-in-time, raw, real, this is what's hot, this is what's working now, this is what you need to be implementing every single month. There's a new business module from a 7 to 9 figure founder every single month. Some of those months it's from me. Some of those months it's from other highly vetted strategic partners that are able to teach and deliver in areas that go beyond my area of expertise. There is a monthly co-working session focused on implementing everything that you learn from the Marketing Masterclass. And then, of course, there is a live Q&A with Ignacio and the VBS team. Ignacio is our executive director. So every month you have 4 just-in-time solutions delivered to you that are real, they're raw, they're live when possible, with a goal that instead of you getting into these crusty memberships with 300 modules where you have to search and everything's out of date and you don't know what you should pay attention to, you don't know what, it's a consumption model. So the goal is basically you come in, you have 4 things to consume a month, 1 thing each week, you implement, and then you move on. And the content rotates every month instead of you just building this bigger and bigger and bigger vault where you get lost and overwhelmed and frustrated because you can't find what you need. Also, we noticed that with a lot of business courses, especially in the online space, things change so much, so fast that by the time you buy the course, so many things have changed that it's no longer relevant. So one of the big focuses of the Virtual Business School monthly membership is that it's new, just-in-time delivered content so that you are not just consuming things without knowing whether or not it is still equally relevant and impactful. And we also want to make sure that there's an integration where you're meeting a community, you're getting to co-work with other entrepreneurs, you're getting to ask questions and listen to other people's, because that's huge. And the biggest and most important part is that we're keeping the price really, really low. We know a lot of people are struggling right now. We know a lot of people need an accessible way to grow their businesses, and they cannot afford to spend thousands of dollars every month to do it. So we want an accessible solution. We want a simple solution. We want a just-in-time solution. And for me, I couldn't resist doing this anymore because I knew it was always my dream. I always wanted to have my own business school. And I knew that if we could make this accessible and find a business model that could make it accessible, that so many tens of thousands of people that would never be able to access what we teach otherwise would have an entry point to get their business going and growing. So I hope you'll take advantage of the special offer for the next 2 weeks. We're at $49 a month. No contract, cancel anytime with 30 days notice. Come grow with us, and you can scroll down below this podcast or the video and get yourself registered trained for the virtual business school. Here are the lessons that I lived to tell. Number one, if it's your dream, do it anyway, even when it's totally inconvenient. Sometimes for something really great, you're going to have to slow down a lot in order to speed up. And if you keep seeing demand in the market over and over again and you don't have a solution that you're confident to refer people to, maybe, just maybe, you're being called to create it. Thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you back here next time.